Hello, hello, hello. I'm not muted, right? What's going on, everyone? Putting on the big screen so you can knit and watch at the same time. I love that. Michael, I love that idea, actually. I gotta get some work done after this, but I might take him for a little bit. I just took him for a very wet walk. It is very rainy by me. So I just took him for a really wet walk, and he ran in the stream that's kind of overflowing, and he's soaking wet right now. I just dried him off. Now he's taking a nap. So that's that. So maybe he might be asleep for some of the afternoon. Maybe he'll join us as we read. What's going on, everyone? What is up? Probably the most famousest of chapters. The t-shirt. That's right. It's a quick duck. I have it. And it says, "A quick duck had saved him. J.R. Tolkien." Also, if you guys want, I'm going to throw this up every so often. If you guys want, you can scan that. I do have some merch. I've had this for a long time, but I've never really broadcasted it. But every so often, I feel like for live streams, I'll wear like a cool t-shirt and say you guys should get these t-shirts. Because who wouldn't want to walk around wearing a quick duck t-shirt? You know how many questions you can probably get asked about this? Like, what the heck is on your t-shirt? Well, let me tell you. And you can turn someone on to reading The Lord of the Rings. Soggy day in Danbury, Connecticut. Man. Yeah, it has been raining here for like a day straight. It just stopped, but I think it's supposed to rain the rest of the night. I think it's supposed to stop for a little bit and then keep raining. So you do love an enigmatic t-shirt. Love that. I love that. No. This is the better duck. This is the quick duck, not Howard the Duck. What's up, Cecilia? You're on a train, so this is perfect to pass the time as well. Love that. Yeah, hopefully you don't lose signal. How long are you on the train for? Because this chapter could be long. I think this is a pretty long chapter, first of all. And with me reading this chapter, it's going to be extra long. We might start somewhat soon. I don't think it's that. Maybe it's not that long. Ooh, it's a long chapter. Well, like long for Hobbit standards. You're wearing a t-shirt with two swallows carrying a coconut. Love that. That's fantastic. I'm not gonna do the voice of Gollum. I'm gonna do normal readings, and then at the second read, yeah, it's about 20 pages, which for Hobbit standards is pretty long. On the second read, I'm gonna do some of the voices. So my second read of Lord of the Rings, then I'll get to the voices. Nemo, what's up? Currently translating a big relay text in your conlang, and it's a pain. I don't understand half of that sentence, but sure. Gandalf asked Frodo, which story, I wonder? That has to do with the changes Tolkien made to this chapter. Gandalf asked Frodo, which story, I wonder? I don't know what that is. Did he ask him that in the Lord of the Rings, in the riddle, in the Dark chapter? Or in the, what's the chapter called? What's the second chapter called? Shadow of the Past. I should memorize all the Lord of the Rings chapters. I can't believe I haven't done that already. Yeah, trying to do the voice would be taxing on my voice, although that'd be kind of fun. Greetings from the sunny Canadian prairies. Love that. Helping your wife with the garden. Just finished the Hobbit read through after 25 years. Please now come across your channel. Love that. Hey, Ryan, welcome. I'm very glad. Original version 1.0. Second version is the one we see. Okay. Kevin, I posted a link to a YouTube video in the Discord. It's a linguist who has a video about what Tolkien students would have been reading under his teaching. That sounds phenomenal. I'm going to watch that after. That sounds great. Fake fan. No! I'll memorize all the chapters, I promise. When Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings, he had to go back and change this chapter in The Hobbit as Gollum gave him the ring. Gollum gave him the ring in the first one? Yeah, I think sometime this week, I think I'm going to read the first edition or the first version of it because I want to see what those changes are. I don't really know what those changes are. So I'm sure someone's going to spoil it in this one. I don't really know what the difference would be or what the change would be and the necessity for the change. Everyone keeps talking about the first version versus the second version, how it changes something in the books, but I don't know what it'll change. So I'm going to read it sometime this week. I'll probably do another live read this week, and then we can chat about it. So we'll see. I'll probably make a video or two about that. The funny magic ring was the prize. Yeah, it'd be fun to see the differences between the original and between the one that he published, and why he felt the need to do it. Attila, upgraded to Golden Tamale? Oh my gosh, that is way too kind. Welcome to the Golden Tamales. I think you are the only Golden Tamale on the channel, so you get all the cred. Attila, for becoming a Golden Tamale, I'm gonna send you a T-shirt, a Quick Duck T-shirt. So I'll figure this out in the Discord, but send me a message in Discord, and then I'm going to send you a link that you can get a Golden Tamale shirt from if you want. You're the only one. You're the only Golden Tamale. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to do a head-to-head video. Yeah, still waiting for me to read. What else is new? It's only been 15 minutes. I usually talk for way longer before we start a read. Yeah, it would be this chapter will win 5 Golden Tamales. Interesting. The chapter comparisons would be worth a head-to-head video. All right, good to know. You didn't see the notification? YouTube is so weird with notifications sometimes. It's so frustrating. I think I'm maybe the most excited about this chapter out of all the chapters. This is probably the chapter, right? Like I would say that this is like maybe the most popular Hobbit chapter. Like this is the one that I know about. This is the one that I remember from middle school reading. Like this is the chapter. It's a little chilly. The idea of the original version, it was that Bilbo's original version of the events. Its recounted version is a true story that Bilbo told during the Council of Elrond. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the difference would be. Don't spoil too many things, because I'm curious to see what. Excuse me. I'm curious to see if I can actually pick up on it. Is it going to be that minimal? Like someone sent it on. Someone sent a link to a website that has them both side by side, and that's interesting. But I didn't expect. I don't know. I just don't know what to expect for that. Why he felt a need to change things. Why? Because you guys said it's he gifted him the ring versus Bilbo might have taken it in the original. I don't really know how Bilbo obtains the ring in the original. Does he just find it? Does he just come across it? Why would it be that big of an issue if he gives Bilbo the ring and then regrets it later and then hunts him down? We'll see. We'll figure it out. The riddles are great. Love that. I'm excited for the riddles. I think I know the majority of the riddles, but we're gonna quiz because I think I know the majority of the riddles. My nieces and nephews went through a riddle phase a few years ago. They still love riddles, but I remember we were like in a long car ride once, and they were asking me to give them riddles, and I just looked up a bunch of riddles, and like I think I looked up the entirety of the chapter of Riddles in the Dark and asked them those riddles, and they couldn't figure out any of them. They were good though. They love them. They love them. Little Quick Duck. If anybody wants a Quick Duck shirt, you can scan that for the reading. I'll take that little link off. We don't want to just advertise. It's not what we're all about here. But if you want a Quick Duck shirt, you can nab a Quick Duck shirt. It's in the link in the description too. Yeah, remember how hard it is for anyone to willingly give up the ring? That's very true. Who gives it up? Sam gives it up somewhat willingly. Tom Bombadil gives it up very willingly. But Tom Bombadil is Tom Bombadil. The original Gollum makes the ring himself from mud and fish bones. Could you imagine that? That'd actually be sick. That would be so cool. He just makes the ring. In the fires of Mount Doom, Gollum. Or in the fires of the Misty Mountains. In the caves of the Misty Mountains. Gollum is at work, weaving a ring together with fish bones that he's eaten. All right, we're going to get started on reading. Let's start in 3 minutes. That doesn't make sense, but we're going to start in 3 minutes. In the cold of the Misty Mountain. Video game crafting sounds play? Playing, you hear him wielding a hammer, and all of a sudden there's a fish bone ring. That's great. He would need Gandalf's help, that's for sure. I don't think he could be able to craft something like that himself. He's not skilled enough. But this is going to be a fun chapter. I'm excited. Everyone liked the stream, too. Like the stream. Yeah, Gandalf gave it up, but he did only... Yeah, he held it... He like barely held it, right? Did Gandalf touch it in the movies or in the books? He doesn't touch it in the movies. He held it up and threw it into the fire. So, oh, that's right. Gandalf was the one that threw it into the fire. Huh. I wonder what Gandalf felt in that moment. That'd actually be an interesting essay. What do you feel in the moment that you touch the ring? How many people touched the ring? Okay, let's talk about this. How many people touched the ring? Did Boromir ever touch the ring? Was it Frodo? Was Frodo the only one? Yeah, it's definitely ownership of it, but I'm curious who, if anything, is by touch as well. Because Samwise touches it, Gandalf touches it, Frodo touches it, Gollum touches it. Does any of the other Fellowship members touch it? Elrond and Rivendell? Yeah. Bombadil touched it, yeah. Boromir does not. Interesting. Proximity it tempted him. That's actually a fascinating thing. I can't wait to do a reread. I think it's going to be really fun to reread this. And reread it, and reread it, and reread it, and just keep doing rereads for the rest of my life. I think it's going to be fun to see what essays I come up with in my second read. Because I don't want to just recycle. I'm not going to recycle essays. I'm going to try to come up with some original stuff. It's going to be fun. Might take more time, but man, it's going to be a job. Hey, Hun Clan, love that. Congrats, that's amazing. Got a job. Love that. Congrats. Oh, job search is miserable. Perhaps Sam could give it back as he hadn't claimed it. It'd be an interesting essay to talk about that. How and why Sam could go give it back. Intentional that 9 creatures in total have held the One Ring. What was it? Someone said something. Someone sent a comment in the Discord on it was a comment on a Geit. That Geit interview. Geit? I never know how to pronounce his last name. Does he ever say it himself? Let me look it up. Because it was like, had something to do with the 9. Here we go. Thinking about Aragorn and the dead men of Dunharrow as inversions of Sauron the Nazgul. Sauron takes living men and makes them undead wraiths through vice. Aragorn finds undead ghosts and gives them new life and rest through virtue. That's kind of cool. I love people that find new things like that. I'm about to do that. I'm about to just study this text for the rest of my life. Okay, you guys heard it here first, but I'm considering doing something. Not necessarily with the channel, but with life. I am considering... Oh, sorry, I just messed up my camera for a second. I am considering, I think this would be really fun, seeing what programs around me have, I could do like a PhD in Tolkien. Like, I don't know anything about it, but I think it'd be so fun after my read through all the Legendarium to go get like a fully funded PhD in Tolkien. I don't know if I'm ever going to do that, but that'd be fun. So I got to look up some programs, pitch some PhD research theses. For some of them, I'm sure some of those programs are like, no, Tolkien's already been done a lot. We don't really want more research on Tolkien. But I feel like there's some schools that would like lap that up. I feel like he might be one of the most researched authors of all time, though. I feel like everyone... Yeah, it'll take me 25 years. That's very true. It'll be fun, though. Riddles in the Dark was the excerpt that I discovered in your 4th grade reader back in 1969 when you were in grammar school. That's amazing. That's so cool. Yeah, just go get a PhD real quick. I would love to get a PhD. Actually, I don't know if I would, but I think it'd be kind of, I feel like that's like a natural progression. You do like a reading channel, all of a sudden you got to go get a PhD. You got to start chatting about literature with a research mindset. I don't know if I'm suited for a PhD. You know what I mean? I just like casually chatting about this kind of stuff. All right, let's get started. Let's get started and read. Last chapter, the Thorn was negotiating with the goblins and actually seemed to be kind of succeeding until they saw their swords. I actually didn't notice that. I got to reread that. It was a good chapter, last chapter. I really enjoyed last chapter. Live. Cut me some slack. Come on. All right, everyone. Let's get reading. This is going to be Riddles in the Dark. Hold on 1 second. Let's pop that off the screen for now. Honorary PhD from First Timers University. All right, now we're good. Everyone like the stream? Like the stream. Come on. Like the stream. There's only 58 people who have liked it, and there's 125 people here. 121 now. 5 people left because we're 4 people left. They didn't want to hear me say like the stream. Bader and Bleeder. That's their names, right? The swords. Honestly, this really is perfect weather to go into a bleak little old cave in the Misty Mountains. Come on, dragon. All right, this is chapter 5 of The Hobbit. Wait. I need a pencil. What am I doing? Good. I got a pencil and we're ready to read. My hands are very not dry, but like kind of dry. This is chapter 5. Riddles in the Dark. When Bilbo opened his eyes, he wondered if he had. Interesting chapter opener. When Bilbo opened his eyes, he wondered if he had. For it was just as dark as with them shut. That's a weird feeling. I don't think I've ever really experienced that feeling. You're totally in the dark and you open your eyes and you go, did I open my eyes? It's totally dark. I can't see anything. Has anybody experienced that? What's the darkest that you guys have ever experienced? Interesting. No one was anywhere near him. Just imagine his fright. He could hear nothing, see nothing, and he could feel nothing except the stone of the floor. Very slowly he got up and groped about on all fours till he touched the wall of the tunnel. But neither up nor down it he could find anything. Nothing at all. No sign of goblins, no sign of dwarves. His head was swimming, and he was far from certain even of the direction they had been going in when he had his fall. He guessed as well as he could and crawled along for a good way, till suddenly his hand met what felt like a tiny ring of cold metal lying on the floor of the tunnel. Weird. He finds it there? Did Gollum come up and kill an orc? And then it slipped off his fingers? He had guessed as well as he could and crawled along for a good way till suddenly his hand met what felt like a tiny ring of cold metal lying on the floor of the tunnel. It was a turning point in his career, but he did not know it. He put the ring in his pocket, almost without thinking. Certainly it did not seem of any particular use at the moment. He did not go much further, but sat down on the cold floor and gave himself up to complete miserableness. For a long while, to complete miserableness. He thought of himself frying bacon and eggs in his own kitchen at home, for he could feel inside that it was high time for some meal or other, but that only made him miserabler. Miserabler. What a word. I love this. Those old Chef Boyardee commercials? I don't remember those. Takes 30 minutes for imprinted light to fall off. Interesting. He could not think what to do, nor could he think what happened, or why he had been left behind, or why, if he had been left behind, the goblins had not caught him, or even why his head was so sore. Those are all questions that I have. How, okay, so the dwarves leave him, but how did the goblins not find him? Is it just because he's a small hobbit? The truth was, he had been lying quiet, out of sight and out of mind, in a very dark corner for a long while. After some time, he felt for his pipe. It was not broken, and that was something. Then he felt for his pouch, and there was some tobacco in it, and that was something more. Then he felt for the matches, and he could not find any. Now, the interesting question that I have is, it's funny that he is trying to smoke his pipe. When he's reaching for matches, I'm going, oh, he's reaching for matches because he's like, I want to light the way. But no, he's reaching for matches because he wants to he wants to light his pipe. Yeah, priorities. He's got his priorities straight. Absolutely, he's got his priorities straight. Yeah, a little calming effect for sure. Then he felt for matches, and he could not find any. And that shattered his hopes completely. Just as well for him, as he agreed when he came to his senses. Goodness knows what the striking of matches and the smell of tobacco would have brought on him out of the dark holes in that horrible place. Still, at the moment, he felt very crushed. But in slapping all his pockets and feeling all around himself for matches, his hand came on the hilt of his little sword, the little dagger that he got from the trolls, and that he had quite forgotten. Nor, fortunately, the goblins noticed it, as he wore it inside his breeches. Why would he wear it inside his breeches? It's a strange location to put a sword. To hide it, but why is he trying to hide it? Weird. No scabbard. But if he doesn't have a scabbard, then that's dangerous. He's putting it inside his pants. That's going to cut his little artery down there. But somehow he was comforted. Oh, no, sorry, I missed a paragraph. Now he drew it out. It shone pale and dim before his eyes. So it is an elvish blade too, he thought. And goblins are not very near, and yet not far enough. But somehow he was comforted. It was rather splendid to be wearing a blade made in Gondolin for the goblin wars of which so many songs had sung. And also he had noticed that such weapons made a great impression on goblins that came upon them suddenly. Go back, he thought. No good at all. Go sideways? Impossible. Go forward? Only thing to do. On we go. What a good line. Go back, he thought. No good at all. Go sideways? Impossible. Go forward? Only thing to do. On we go. This is the graduation speeches right here. This is what everyone's saying on their graduation speeches. That's an essay right there. I'm gonna make a video on the channel that's a graduation speech with the Lord of the Rings. Go back, he thought. No good at all. Go sideways? Impossible. Go forward? Only thing to do. On we go. So up he got and trotted along with his little sword held in front of him, in one hand feeling the wall, and his heart all of a patter and a pitter. All of a patter and all of a pitter. He reverses that. It should be pitter patter, but this is a patter and a pitter. Sometimes I think he's doing weird things to kind of just like mess with you. This book is full of killer lines. I love that. Good. I'm glad. All right, let's keep reading. Now, certainly, Bilbo was in what is called a tight place. But you must remember it was not quite so tight for him as it would have been for me or for you. Hobbits are not quite like ordinary people. And after all, if their holes are nice and cheery places and properly aired, quite different from the tunnels of goblins, still they are more used to tunneling than we are, and they do not easily lose their sense of directions underground, not when their heads have recovered from being bumped. Also, they can move very quietly and hide easily and recover wonderfully from falls and bruises, and they have a fund of wisdom and wise sayings that men have mostly never heard or have forgotten long ago. Michael, thanks for the $5. I need to give a speech for my honorary doctorate from First Timers University. That's true. That's true. I should not have liked to have been in Mr. Baggins' place, all the same. The tunnel seemed to have no end. All he knew was that it was still going down pretty steadily and keeping in the same direction, in spite of a twist and a turn or two. There were passages leading off to every side every now and then, as he knew by the glimmer of his sword, or could feel with his hand on the wall. Of these he took no notice, except to hurry past for fear of goblins or half-imagined dark things coming out of them. On and on he went, and down and down. And still he heard no sound of anything except the occasional whir of a bat by his ears, which startled him at first, till it became too frequent to bother about. I do not know how long he kept on like this, hating to go on, not daring to stop, on, until he was tireder than tired. It seemed like all the way to tomorrow and over it to beyond days, or to days beyond. That's a strange thing to think. I mean, I guess this is like because time in a cave feels like it's no time at all, so I think he's writing it like that. It is also interesting to think he could have been walking for like days. Probably not. He could have been, I'm guessing this was hours. But that's kind of crazy. Suddenly, without any warning, he trotted splash into water. Oh, it was icy cold. That pulled him up sharp and short. He did not know whether it was just a pool in the path, or the edge of an underground stream that crossed the passage, or the brink of a deep, dark subterranean lake. The sword was hardly shining at all. He stopped, and he could hear, when he listened hard, drops, drip, drip, dripping from an unseen roof into water below. But there seemed no other sort of sound. So it is a pool or a lake, and not an underground river, he thought. Still, he did not dare to wade out into darkness. He could not swim. And he thought, too, of nasty, slimy things, with big, bulging, blind eyes, wriggling in the water. Frodo's not alive yet. Yeah, no, Frodo's not alive yet. So his parents haven't died. Man, the Baggins side and swimming just does not go very well. Is this would be, Bilbo would be Frodo's dad's brother? Is it Bilbo and Drogo are brothers? Yeah, most of the Bucklanders, yeah, they're good swimmers. He's a cousin? Okay, cousin, okay. All right. Not an uncle to Frodo. Huh. I feel like I should have known that. There's a quote about them being first and second cousins. Okay. Good to know. All right, let's keep reading. He could not swim. And he thought, too, of nasty, slimy things with big, bulging, blind eyes wriggling in the water. There are strange things living in pools and lakes in the hearts of the mountains. That's a lot of plurals. There are strange things living in the pools and the lakes in the hearts of mountains. Fish whose fathers swam in. Goodness only knows how many years ago, and never swam out again. While their eyes grew big and bigger from trying to see in the blackness. Also, there are other things more slimy than fish. Even in the tunnels and the caves goblins have made for themselves, there are other things living unbeknown to them that have sneaked in from outside to lie up in the dark. Some of these caves, too, go back in their beginnings to ages before the goblins, who only widened them and joined them up with passages. And the original owners are still there in odd corners, slinking and nosing about. I can't read tonight. Wow. What are those creatures? That's like that line when Gandalf is running around and he's like, there's creatures that are like unknown, or like he doesn't even want to talk about some of the creatures. When Gandalf is regaling people with his Balrog story. Let's get like that. They have nameless things down there. That's right. Oh, it's actually giving me the chills. Caves terrify me. I'm not like crazy claustrophobic, but like that would be terrifying to me. You remember pondering the cave lake critters? Yeah, getting the creeps. Totally. It is a little creepy chapter. Let's keep reading. Deep down here, by the dark water, lived old Gollum. A small, slimy creature. I don't know where he came from, nor who or what he was. He was Gollum, as dark as darkness, except for two big, round, pale eyes in his thin face. He had a little boat, and he rowed about quietly on the lake. For lake it was, wide and deep and deadly cold. He paddled it with large feet dangling over the side. but never a ripple did he make. Not he. He was looking out of his pale lamp, like eyes for blind fish, which he grabbed with his long fingers as quick as thinking. He liked meat, too. Goblin. He thought good, when he could get it, but he took care they never found him out. He just throttled them from behind if they ever came down alone anywhere near the edge of the water, while he was prowling about. They very seldom did, for they had a feeling that something unpleasant was lurking down there. Ooh, down at the very roots of the mountains. They had come on the lake when they were tunneling down long ago, and they found they can go no further, so their road ended in that direction. And there was no reason to go that way, unless the great goblin sent them. Sometimes he took a fancy for fish from the lake, and sometimes neither goblin nor fish came back. Gosh, what a creepy chapter. I feel so creeped out right now. Ooh. The goblins don't even want to go down there because they're kind of afraid of some creature that watches them. It's crazy that they've like probably never even really seen him or caught a glimpse of him. The boat is a good question too. You know how sick this is? I had actually imagined that it's not made of wood and it would potentially be made of leather. Like goblin-y leather. Ugh. Part of a barrel he stole, maybe. Maybe that's a little better than my suggestion, to be completely honest. I feel like yeah, skin and bone. I kind of feel like that. A little bone. He like created a bone. There's like he's going through and like there's a vertebrae around that kind of shape the edges of the boat, and then he put little goblin skins around it. That's my headcanon. Ugh. Yeah, leather is used for bedding, but it still can be kind of used. I'm like on survival shows and stuff like that. They sometimes have like a tarp and they'll make a canoe or a kayak out of that. Doesn't work very well, but I can imagine that Gollum would make something work. He'd figure something out. He's very clever. He's a clever watersman. He's a clever waterman. All right, let's keep reading. Actually, Gollum lived on a slimy island of rock in the middle of the lake. He was watching Bilbo now from the distance. With his pale eyes like telescopes. Bilbo could not see him. It's crazy that he was actually watching him, but he was wondering a lot about Bilbo, for he could see that he was no goblin at all. Gollum got into his boat and shot off from the island while Bilbo was sitting on the brink, altogether flummoxed, and at the end of his way and his wits. Suddenly up came Gollum and whispered and hissed, "Bless us and slash us, my precious." I guess it's a choice feast. At least a tasty morsel it'd make us, Gollum. And when he said Gollum, he made a horrible swallowing noise in his throat. That is how he got his name, though he always called himself my precious. The Hobbit jumped nearly out of his skin when the hiss came in his ears, and he suddenly saw the pale eyes sticking out at him. "Who are you?" he said, thrusting his dagger in front of him. "What is he, my precious?" whispered Gollum, who always spoke to himself through never having anyone else to speak to. This is what he had come to find out, for he was not really very hungry at that moment, only curious. Otherwise, he would have grabbed first and whispered afterwards. I am Mr. Bilbo Baggins. I have lost the dwarves, and I have lost the wizard. Honestly, you know what? That feels like not a Gollum quality, a Shelob quality. You kind of like play with your food before you actually get it. Gollum's learning a thing or two from Shelob here. Like he's whispering to his food rather than just killing and then dealing with that later. Creepy. I have lost the dwarves, and I have lost the wizard, and I don't know where I am, and I don't want to know. If only I can get away. What's he got in his hands is, said Gollum, looking at the sword, which he did not quite like. A sword, a blade which came out of Gondolin, said Gollum, and became quite polite. Perhaps we sit here and chats with it a bit, see, my precious. It likes riddles. Perhaps it does it? He was anxious to appear friendly, at any rate for the moment, until he found out more about the sword and the Hobbit. Whether he was quite alone, really. Whether he was good to eat. And whether Gollum was really hungry. I love that he has to figure out if he's hungry or not. Riddles were all he could think of. Asking them and sometimes guessing them. He had been riddles, asking them, and sometimes guessing them, had been the only game he had ever played with other funny creatures sitting in their holes in the long, long ago before he lost all his friends and was driven away alone and crept down into the dark under the mountains. Oh, so that's an indication that he's his hobbit. That is actually so fascinating. Oh, so he hasn't met Shelob yet. Okay. I thought he knew Shelob before this. That's a fun indication right there that he's actually a hobbit. Asking them and sometimes guessing them had been the only game he had ever played with other funny creatures sitting in their holes in the long, long ago. Before he lost all his friends and was driven away alone and crept down into the dark under the mountains. Yeah, Kathy, I'm kind of with you on that. I wonder if he changed that or amended that later to actually be so that these things are in their holes. Because that is a very Hobbit line. Like you're thinking, oh, wait, this was before he lost all his friends. So he was a creature who lived in a hole. What other creature do we know that lives in a hole? A hobbit. I feel like he's saying something here. I don't know what, but maybe there's an essay in that somewhere. What is Tolkien saying? What does he mean? Very well, said Bilbo, who was anxious to agree, until he found out more about the creature, whether he was quite alone, whether he was fierce or hungry, and whether he was a friend of the goblins. It's funny that they both have their questions. And it's also funny how much he's just trying to move some of the plot along as well. This is a quick setup. Like this is a different kind of chapter. Like this chapter already has a different feel from the rest of the Hobbit. To some extent. Like he still does some of the same things that he does in the other chapters linguistically. But it definitely has a different feel. And so I'm like, hold on one sec, sorry. So I don't know. I think it's interesting how they kind of are thinking about their same questions, but also interesting how fast they just go into riddles. Like there's no need for explanation here. Like yes, Gollum loves riddles, but like that's the first thing that they go into. Like I thought it was going to be a longer build up to get to the riddles. You ask first, he said, because he had not had time to think of a riddle. So Gollum hissed. What has roots, as nobody sees, is taller than trees. Up, up, up it goes, and yet it never grows. Mountains. I think this one's mountains. I'm going to try to guess all of them before I actually see them, but I'm 99% sure this one's mountains. Easy, said Bilbo. Mountains, I suppose. Yes, we're 1 for 1 on the ones that I pretty much already know. Does it guess easy? I must have a competition with us, my precious. If Precious asks, it doesn't answer. we eats it, my precious. If it asks us and we doesn't answer, then we does what it wants, eh? We shows it the way out, yes? All right, said Bilbo, not daring to disagree, and nearly bursting his brain to think of riddles that could save him from being eaten. 30 white horses on a red hill. First they champ, then they stamp, then they stand still. Teeth. Teeth! He was giving a clue for readers about what Gollum really is. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Philip, thanks for the $2. This chapter was rewritten for the second edition. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the first edition sometime this week. I'll do like a little live read or like maybe live discussion or something like that of the first version that he wrote for this, because I'm just curious to see what the differences between them are. That was all he could think to ask. The idea of eating was rather on his mind. It was rather an old one, too, and Gollum knew the answer as well as you. Chestnuts, chestnuts, he hissed. Teeth, teeth, my precious. But we has only 6. Why does he say chestnuts, chestnuts? Chestnut horses? What is that? Why does he say chestnuts, chestnuts? It's like a bizarre thing to say. It's a British idiom. What does that mean? You British people are so weird. The riddle is an old chestnut. Oh, interesting. I kind of love that, actually. It's like a nut to crack. Ah, Gollum, that's pretty clever. I like that he makes him an actual clever character. Huh. Okay, interesting. That's an old chestnut. Chestnut means an old joke. Chestnut is the term for old jokes that everyone knows. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's fun. I didn't know that. I love that. Thank you. You guys are the best. That's why I love reading like this. All right, teeth, teeth. Here's the next one. Then he asked his second. Voiceless it cries, wingless flutters, toothless bites, mouthless mutters. This one's the wind. I think this one's the wind. Half a moment, cried Bilbo, who was only still uncomfortable about eating. Who was only still thinking uncomfortably about eating. Fortunately, he had once heard something rather like this before. And getting his wits back, he thought of the answer. Wind, wind, of course, he said. And he was so pleased that he made up one on the spot. This'll puzzle the nasty little underground creature, he thought. An eye in a blue face saw an eye in a green face. That eye is like to this eye, said the first. But in low place, not in high. Wait, I don't remember this one at all. I'm going to try to figure this one out because I do not remember this one at all. An eye in a blue face saw an eye in a green face. That eye is like to this eye, said the first eye. But in low place, not in high place. Huh? This is so bizarre. I don't remember this one at all. I don't remember this one in my middle school class. An eye in a blue face saw an eye in a green face. An eye in the blue face, the moon, saw an eye in the green face, the earth. That eye is like to this eye, said the first, but in low place, not in the high place. Huh? All right, I'm gonna keep reading because my guess is like the moon and the earth or something. All right, said Gollum. He had been underground a long, long time and was forgetting this sort of thing. But just as Bilbo was beginning to hope that the wretch would not be able to answer, Gollum brought up memories of ages and ages and ages before when he lived with his grandmother in a hole in a bank by the river. My precious, he said. Sun on the daisies, it means it does. Sun on the daisies? An eye in a blue face? What? Hold on. Is that a phrase? Did he say, is that the answer? Sun on the daisies? Is that the first eye? But in low place? Yellow eye in the sky. Sees little yellow eye in green grass. But where'd you get the yellow? An eye in a blue face. The sun saw an eye in the green face in the earth. That eye is like to this eye, said the first eye. But in low place, not in high place. Okay, I kind of get it now. The yellow of a daisy. The green face is grass and the yellow is the daisy. Okay. Is it a sunflower? Yeah, sunflower or daisy. Daisies. Okay. That's a weird one. No wonder I didn't remember it. What do you guys think is the best riddle, and what do you think is the worst one? Because I would say that's the worst one right now. Bilbo just came up with it off the cuff. But these ordinary, above ground, everyday sort of riddles were tiring for him, and they reminded him of days when he had been less lonely and sneaky and nasty, and that put him out of his temper. What is more, they made him hungry, so that this time he tried something a bit more difficult and unpleasant. It cannot be seen, cannot be felt, cannot be heard, cannot be smelt. It lies behind stars and under hills. Oh, my whole thing just crashed. 1 second. Are we still good? Everyone's still there? My YouTube just crashed. Let me restart it. You there? Perfect. Ooh. Apollon Phobos. I'm reading the Iliad right now for another channel. And I know what that name means. It's, well, not really, but yeah. If you guys want to subscribe, go to the main channel, go to First Timers, go to the homepage, and it's First Time Classics. We're going to do a book club. Well, we are doing a book club, but we're going to do meet and do it. Okay, cannot be heard, cannot be smelt. It lies behind stars and under hills, and empty holes it fills. It comes first and follows after. Ends life, kills laughter. I think this one's the darkness. Nemo, my pronunciation is always going to suck, so just just deal with it. It cannot be seen, cannot be felt, cannot be heard, cannot be smelt. It lies behind stars and under hills, and empty holes it fills. It comes first and follows after. Ends life, kills laughter. I think it's darkness, but I don't know how darkness would end life. I guess it ends life. Oh, it's like the end of life. Unfortunately for Gollum, Bilbo had heard that sort of thing before, and the answer was all around him anyway. Dark, he said, without even scratching his head or putting on his thinking cap. He didn't even put on his thinking cap. That was easy. A box without hinges, key, or lid. Yeah, golden treasure inside is hid. An egg. I like that one. He asked to gain time until he can think of a real... Oh, wait, did I skip a page? Oh, no. He asked this riddle to gain time until he could think of a really hard one. This, he thought, a dreadful easy chestnut. There you go, the chestnut again. Though he had not asked it in the usual words, but it proved a nasty poser for Gollum. He hissed to himself, and still he did not answer. He whispered and spluttered. After some while, Bilbo became impatient. Well, that is it, he said. The answer is not a kettle boiling over, as you seem to think from the noise you are making. Give us a chance. Let it give us a chance, my precious. Well, said Bilbo after giving it a long chance, what about your guess? Suddenly Gollum remembered thieving from nests long ago, and sitting under the riverbank, teaching his grandmother to suck. Eggses, he hissed. Eggses it is. Then he asked, alive without breath, as cold as death, never thirsty, ever drinking, all in mail, never clinking. I don't remember this one. I think like a river. Alive without breath, as cold as death, never thirsty, ever drinking, all in mail, never clinking. Alive without breath, as cold as death, never thirsty, ever drinking, all in mail, never clinking. I would say that's water. I don't know. I should remember this one from Lord of the Rings. This is in Lord of the Rings? No. I would get eaten? Oh no, what is this one? He also, in his turn, thought this was a dreadfully easy one, because he was always thinking of the answer. But he could not remember anything better at the moment. He was so flustered by the egg question. All the same, it was a poser for poor Bilbo, who never heard anything to do with water if he could help it. I imagine you know the answer, of course, or can guess it as easy as winking, since you are sitting comfortably at home and have not the danger of being eaten to disturb your thinking. Bilbo sat and cleared his throat once or twice, but no answer came. After a while, Gollum began to hiss with pleasure to himself. Is it nice, my precious? Is it juicy? Is it scrumptiously crunchable? He began to peer. This must have been wild to read this with no image of Gollum in your head, and all of a sudden you're going, this creature is one of the weirdest creatures I've ever seen in my life or ever read about in your life. Is it scrumptiously crunchable? Like, again, one of the things that I think Tolkien does so well in this is, like, we don't know necessarily, I don't think we necessarily know the danger that we're in, because Tolkien makes things so funny. Like, this is, again, perfect children's literature. It's just perfect children's literature. Like, you make these terrifying moments. I would love, like, I know we don't get it, and I know he tried to write this, but I would love the Hobbit through the Lord of the Rings perspective, through how he wrote the Lord of the Rings. Give me a version of the Hobbit that's like this, because those versions would be so starkly different. And then here we're getting this, and it's just like, it's just perfectly children's like. It's so excellent. Because the kid can just be cackling when their parents are reading this to them at bed. Scrumptiously crunchable. I'm going to ask everyone that whenever I eat food they offer me. Is it scrumptiously crunchable? He began to peer at Bilbo out of the darkness. Half a moment, said the Hobbit, shivering. I gave you a good long chance just now. It must make haste, said Gollum, beginning to climb out of his boat to the shore to get at Bilbo. Oh, so it's interesting that I did not necessarily think that he was on his boat. He was in his boat still. But when he had put his long webby foot in the water, a fish jumped out in a fright. Oh, it's a fish. Alive without breath, as cold as death. Never thirsty, ever drinking. All in mail, never clinking. Oh, that was a easy one. That was a chestnut. I should have known that one. A fish jumped out in fright and fell on Bilbo's toes. Oh, he said. It is cold and clammy. And so he guessed. Fish, fish, he cried. It's a fish. Gollum was dreadfully disappointed, but Bilbo asked another riddle as quick as he ever could, so that Gollum had to get back in his boat and think. No legs lay on one leg. 2 legs sat near on 3 legs. 4 legs got some. I don't know this one either. I don't remember this one. Man, I don't remember a lot of these. This is interesting. Wait, no legs lay on 1 leg. 2 legs? sat near on 3 legs. 4 legs got some? What? Like a stool? It was not really the right time for this riddle, but Bilbo was in a hurry. Gollum might have had some trouble guessing it if he had asked it at another time. As it was, talking of fish, no legs was not very difficult. And after that, the rest was easy. Oh, weird. Fish on a little table. Man at a table sitting on a stool. The cat has the bones. That's a crazy riddle. How about getting eaten up 3 times? That's actually a crazy riddle. No legs lay on 1 leg. So fish lay on 1 leg on a little table with 1 leg. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, that makes sense. 2 legs sat near on 3 legs. 4 legs got some. That is kind of a crazy riddle. That's your favorite riddle? Interesting. It is kind of a fun riddle, but it's a hard one to guess. Like, that's not, I don't know. There's like a different answer for that one. That, of course, is the answer, and Gollum soon gave it. Then he thought the time had come to ask something hard and horrible. This is what he said. This thing all things devours. Birds, beasts, trees, flowers. Gnaws iron, bites steel. Grinds hard stones to meal. Slays kings, ruins towns. And beats high mountains down. Time. Poor Bilbo sat in the dark, thinking of all the horrible names of the giants and ogres he had ever heard told of in tales. But none of them had done all these things. He had a feeling that the answer was quite different, and that he ought to know it. But he could not think of it. He began to get frightened, and that is bad for thinking. Gollum began to get out of his boat. He flapped into the water and paddled to the bank. Bilbo could see his eyes coming toward him. His tongue seemed to stick in his mouth. He wanted to shout, "Give me more time, give me more time," but all that came out with a sudden squeal was, "Time, time!" Bilbo was saved by pure luck. For that, of course, was the answer. That is crazy. Okay, wow. Fate. That's crazy. An Iluvatar moment is darn right. That is so crazy. Time, time. Bilbo was saved by pure Iluvatar. For that, of course, is the answer. That should be the 3rd version. Gollum was disappointed once more. And now he was getting angry and also tired of the game. It had made him very hungry indeed. This time he did not go back to the boat. He sat down in the dark by Bilbo. That made the Hobbit most dreadfully uncomfortable and scattered with wits. "It's got to ask us a question, my precious." "Yes, yes, yes. Just one more question to guess." "Yes, yes," said Gollum. But Bilbo simply could not think of any question, with that nasty, wet, cold thing sitting next to him, and pawing and poking him. He scratched himself. He pinched himself. Still, he could not think of anything. Ask us, said Gollum. Bilbo pinched himself and slapped himself. He gripped on his little sword. He even felt in his pocket with his other hand. There he found the ring he had picked up in the passage and forgotten about. "What have I got in my pocket?" he said aloud. He was talking to himself, but Gollum thought it was a riddle, and he was frightfully upset. This is so funny. This is a wild story. Not fair, he hissed. "It isn't fair, my precious. It is. Or is it, to ask us what it's got in its nasty little pockets?" Bilbo, seeing what had happened, and having nothing better to ask, stuck to his question. "What have I got in my pocket?" he said louder. "Hissed Gollum. You must give us 3 guesses, my precious. 3 guesses. Very well. Guess away. Handses, said Gollum. Wrong, said Bilbo, who had luckily just taken his hands out again. Guess again. That was clever, Gollum. Well done. Gollum more upset than ever. He thought of all the things he had kept in his own pockets. Fish bones, goblin teeth, wet shells, a bit of a bat wing, a sharp stone to sharpen his fangs on. Wow, that's crazy. And other nasty things. He tried to think what other people kept in their pockets. Knife, he said at last. Wrong, said Bilbo, who had lost his some time ago. Last guess. Now Gollum was in a much worse state when Bilbo had asked him the egg question. He hissed and spluttered and rocked himself backward and forward and slapped his feet on the floor and wriggled and squirmed, but still he did not dare to waste his last guess. Come on, said Bilbo. I am waiting. He tried to sound bold and cheerful, but he did not feel at all sure how the game was going to end, whether Gollum guessed right or not. Time's up, he said. String or nothing, shrieked Gollum, which is not quite fair, working in 2 guesses at once. Both wrong, cried Bilbo, very much relieved. And he jumped at once to his feet. He put his back to the nearest wall and held out his little sword. He knew, of course, that the riddle game was sacred and of immense antiquity. Huh. Is this in any other literature? Can you guys regale me on riddle lore? I know a Tom Riddle. The Riddle of the Sphinx. Riddles are sacred. Simple. It's just a long Anglo-Saxon tradition of like riddling. It's like a riddle game. Trolls and bridges, that's true. Huh. Is there any riddles in like Knights of the Round Table or anything like that? Or like Canterbury Tales or any of that kind of stuff? Never read any fairy tales with the rules other than in world. Yeah, Gollum gave his word. That's very true. Ooh, like Rumpelstiltskin's name. Yeah, honestly. Ooh, that's actually a good comparison. Kind of feels like that story a little bit. Gawain and the Green Knight has riddles. Okay. European or African swallows. Someone here is wearing a shirt with 2 swallows on it. That was great. Every good story has riddles in it. The oldest game. Honestly, it is a good thing. If like you're a writer, throw some riddles in your story. The Sphinx, what is the Sphinx? What is the Sphinx? Is the Sphinx its own distinct story, or is the Sphinx just known as a creature that tells riddles? Is that why that is in... I don't know my mythology. I really need to get... when I'm starting the Iliad, I think I'm going to get into mythology now. Something to do with the Sphinx? The Sphinx tells a riddle in Harry Potter. That's for darn sure. That's what I know. The City of Thebes. Isn't the City of Thebes... Doesn't Phil say that, you know, if you can make it in Thebes, you can make it anywhere? Oedipus and the Sphinx. Keep thinking of the never-ending story. I haven't seen that in a long, long time. Yeah, I'll do some research on some riddle lore. He knew, of course, that the riddle game was sacred and of immense antiquity, and even wicked creatures were afraid to cheat when they played at it. But he felt he could not trust this slimy thing to keep any promise at a pinch. Any excuse would do for him to slide out on it. And after all, that last question had not been a genuine riddle according to the ancient laws. This is so phenomenally fascinating now. Because they're both... Bilbo's kind of breaking the ancient law now. I know this is like maybe like he's writing like an English gentleman, like he's not exactly playing according to the rules, but Gollum wasn't exactly playing according to the rules. But this makes me wonder what was going on in the cosmos now that they broke these rules. That's a weird thing to add. According to the ancient laws. But at any rate, Gollum did not at once attack him. He could see the sword in Bilbo's hand. He sat still, shivering and whispering. At last Bilbo could wait no longer. Well, he said, what about your promise? I want to go. You must show me the way. Did we say so, precious? Show the nasty little Baggins the way out? Did Bilbo say he was Bilbo Baggins? I am Mr. Bilbo Baggins. Okay. I was going to say, how did he know them? But at any rate, Gollum, he sat shivering. Well, did we say so? Show nasty little Baggins the way out? Yes, yes. But what has it got in its pockets, eh? Not string, precious, but not nothing. Oh, no, Gollum. Never you mind, said Bilbo. A promise is a promise. Cross it is, impatient precious. Hissed Gollum. But it must wait. Yes, it must wait. We can't go up into the tunnels so hasty. We must go and get some things first. Yes, things to help us. Well, hurry up, said Bilbo, relieved to think of Gollum going away. He thought he was just making an excuse and did not mean to come back. What was Gollum talking about? What useful thing could he keep on, or could he keep out of the dark lake? Could he keep out on the dark lake? But he was wrong. Gollum did mean to come back. He was angry now and hungry, and he was a miserable, wicked creature, and already he had a plan. Not far away was his island, of which Bilbo knew nothing, and there, in his hiding place, he kept a few wretched oddments, and one very beautiful thing. Very beautiful, very wonderful. He had a ring, a golden ring, a precious ring. My birthday present, he whispered to himself, as he had often done in the endless dark days. That's what we wants now. Yes, we wants it. He wanted it because it was a ring of power. And if you slipped that ring on your finger, you were invisible. Only in the full sunlight could you be seen. And then only by your shadow. And that wouldn't be shaky and faint. And that would be shaky and faint. Whoa! That changes a lot of things. Physics-wise, that's interesting. What the heck? That's making me think now. That's kind of weird, kind of cool. I guess you're still an object. Like, does an invisible object cast a shadow? It's got to, no? When Harry puts on his invisibility cloak, does he cast a shadow? Weird. Thinking is scary. Huh. All right. Weird. He could be seen in the full sunlight. My birthday present. It came to me on my birthday, my precious. So he had always said to himself. But who knows how Gollum came by that present ages ago in the old days, when such rings were still at large in the world. Perhaps even the master who ruled them could not have said. Gollum used to wear it at first, till it tired him. And then he kept it in a pouch next on his skin. Till it tired him. Heaviness? And then he kept it in a pouch next to his skin, till it galled him. And now usually he hid it in a hole in the rock on his island, and was always going back to look at it. And still sometimes he put it on when he could not bear to be parted from it any longer. Or when he was very, very hungry and tired of fish. Then he would creep along dark passages looking for stray goblins. He might even venture into places where the torches were lit and made his eyes blink and smart. For he would be safe. Oh yes, quite safe. No one would see him. No one would notice him till he had his fingers on their throat. Only a few hours ago he had worn it and caught a small goblin imp. How it squeaked. He still had a bone or two left to gnaw, but he wanted something softer. Quite safe, yes, he whispered to himself. It won't see us, will it, my precious? No, it won't see us. And its nasty little sword will be useless. Yes, quite. This is what was in his wicked little mind, as he slipped suddenly from Bilbo's side and flapped back to his boat, and went off into the dark. Bilbo thought he had heard the last of him. Still, he waited a while, for he had no idea how to find his way out alone. Suddenly, he heard a screech. A screech. Was it a barn owl or a brown owl? Probably a screech owl. Yeah, the master who ruled them. It makes me think, too, like, Gollum is wearing the ring, but because there's some necromancer activity going on right now, is the ring getting more burdensome because of that? I wonder if the line about the master who ruled them was in the original. He's just dabbling necromancy on the weekends. Also, everyone liked the stream. Everyone who's here. Everyone new here and old here liked the stream. Suddenly he heard a screech. It sent a shiver down his back. Gollum was cursing and wailing away in the gloom, not very far off by the sound of it. He was on his island, scrabbling here and there, searching and seeking in vain. Where is it? Where is it? Bilbo heard him crying. Lost it. Lost it is, my precious. Lost, lost. Curse us and crush us, my precious is lost. What's the matter? Bilbo called. Why, what have you lost? It mustn't ask us, shrieked Gollum. Not its business. No, Gollum. It's lost. Gollum, Gollum, Gollum. Well, so am I, cried Bilbo. And I want to get unlost. And I won the game, and you promised. So come along. Come and let me out. And then go on with your looking. Utterly miserable. As Gollum sounded, Bilbo could not find much pity in his heart. And he had a feeling that anything Gollum wanted so much could hardly be something good. Come along, he shouted. No, not yet, precious, Gollum answered. We must search for it. It's lost, Gollum. But you never guessed my last question. And you promised, said Bilbo. Never guess, said Gollum. Then suddenly out of the gloom came a sharp hiss. What has it got in its pocket, sis? Tell us that. It must tell first. As far as Bilbo knew, there was no particular reason why he should not tell. Gollum's mind had jumped to a guess, quicker than his. Naturally, for Gollum had brooded for ages on this one thing, and he was always afraid of its being stolen. But Bilbo was annoyed at the delay. After all, he had won the game pretty fairly, at a horrible risk. Answers were to be guessed, not given, he said. But it wasn't a fair question, said Gollum. Not a riddle, precious, no. Oh, well. If it's a matter of ordinary questions, Bilbo replied. Then I asked one first. What have you lost? Tell me that. What has it got in its pockets, sis? The sound came hissing louder and sharper. And as he looked toward it, to his alarm, Bilbo saw two small points of light peering at him. As suspicion grew in Gollum's mind, the light of his eyes burned with pale flame. This is legitimately one of the creepiest chapters I've ever read in my life. Like there is a quick ascension, not necessarily quick, but like a very quick ascension into real terror here. Like we meet Gollum quick, and then all of a sudden they're telling riddles, and then all of a sudden the pocket thing is like he fixates on this, and it's absolutely terrifying. Scared you as a kid? Yeah, this would be, I'd be peeing in my pants. What have you lost? Tell me that. Or a suspicion grew in Gollum's mind. The light of his eyes burned with pale flame. What have you lost? Bilbo persisted. But now the light in Gollum's eyes had become a green fire, and it was coming swiftly nearer. Gollum was in his boat again, paddling wildly back to the dark shore. And such a rage of loss and suspicion was in his heart that no sword had any terror more for him. Bilbo could not guess what had maddened the wretched creature, but he saw that all was up, and that Gollum meant to murder him at any rate. Just in time, he turned and ran blindly back up the dark passage, down which he had come, keeping close to the wall and feeling it with his left hand. What has it got in its pockets? He heard the hiss loud behind him, and the splash as Gollum leapt from his boat. What have I wonder, he said to himself, as he panted and stumbled along. He put his left hand in his pocket. The ring felt very cold as it quietly slipped on to his groping forefinger. The hiss was close behind. He turned now and saw Gollum's eyes like small green lamps coming up the slope. Terrified, he tried to run faster, but suddenly he struck his toe on a snag in the floor and fell flat with his little sword under him. In a moment, Gollum was on him. But before Bilbo could do anything, recover his breath, pick himself up, or wave his sword, Gollum passed by, taking no notice of him, cursing and whispering as he ran. What could it mean? Gollum could see in the dark. Bilbo could see the light of his eyes palely shining, even from behind. Painfully, he got up and sheathed his sword, which was now glowing faintly again. Then, very cautiously, he followed. There seemed nothing else to do. It was no good crawling back down to Gollum's water. Perhaps if he followed him, Gollum might lead him to some way of escape without meaning to. Curse it, curse it, curse it, hissed Gollum. Curse the Baggins. It's gone. What has it got in its pockets? Oh, we guess, my precious. He's found it. Yes, he must have it. My birthday present. Ooh, this is so creepy. Bilbo pricked up his ears. He was at last beginning to guess himself. He hurried a little, getting as close as he dared behind Gollum, who was still going quickly, not looking back, but turning his head from side to side, as Bilbo could see from the faint glimmer on the walls. My birthday present, curse it. How did we lose it, my precious? Yes, that's it. When we came this way last, when we twisted that nasty young squeaker. That's it. Curse it. It slipped from us. After all these ages and ages, it's gone. Gollum. Suddenly Gollum sat down and began to weep. A whistling and a gurgling sound, horrible to listen to. Bilbo halted and flattened himself against the tunnel wall. After a while, Gollum stopped weeping and began to talk. He seemed to be having an argument with himself. This just gets creepier and creepier. If you do not know anything about Gollum, this is legitimately one of the most terrifying things. He is one person and always having a conversation with himself. It's no good going back there to search. No, he doesn't remember all the places we visited, and it's no use. The Baggins has got it in its pockets. The nasty noser has found it, we says. We guess, precious. Oh, only guess. We guesses, precious, only guesses. We can't know till we find the nasty creature and squeezes it. but it doesn't know what the present can do, does it? It'll just keep it in its pockets as it doesn't know. And it can't go far. It's lost itself, the nasty, nosy thing. It doesn't know the way out. It said so. It said so, yes, but it's tricksy. It doesn't say what it means. It won't say what it's got in its pockets is. It knows. It knows a way in. It must know a way out, yes. It's off to the back door. To the back door, that's it. The goblins will catch it then. It can't get out that way, precious. Gollum. Goblins. Yes, but if it's got the precious, our precious present, then goblins will get it, Gollum. They'll find it. They'll find out what it does. We shan't ever be safe again. Never, Gollum. One of the goblins will put it on, and then no one will see him. He'll be here, but not seen. Not even our clever eyes will notice him. And they'll come creepsy and tricksy and catch us, Gollum. Then let's stop talking, precious. We must make haste. If the Baggins has gone that way, we must go quick and see. Go. Not far now. Make haste. With a spring, Gollum got up and started shambling off at a great pace. Bilbo hurried after him, still cautiously, though his chief fear now was of tripping on another snag and falling with a noise. His head was in a whirl of hope and wonder. It seemed that the ring he had was a magic ring. It made you invisible. He had heard of such things, of course, in old tales, but it was hard to believe that he really had found one by accident. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. It's coming. Excuse me. Whew, sorry. Yeah, Gollum giving a little lore dump there, but that's a perfect lore dump. And it makes the character even more terrifying. That's a great lore dump right there. Thanks for the bless. You just noticed the shirt, the quick duck. If you want one, you can scan this little link. Scan if you want some merch. This shirt, aka. There's a coffee mug with this on it too. And some other stuff that I made. Yeah, it's good that he creates exposition in this. That's like a good way to do it. And because it just increases the creepiness. It doesn't just feel like exposition for the sake of exposition, so you know something. It feels like he's increasing the creepiness of this character. With a spring. Hold on, I read that. He had heard of such things, of course, in old tales, but it was hard to believe he had really found one by accident. Still, it was there. Gollum with his bright eyes had passed him by, only a yard to one side. On they went. Gollum flip-flapping ahead, hissing and cursing, Bilbo behind, going as softly as a hobbit can. Soon they came to places where, as Bilbo had noticed, on the way down, side passages opened, this way and that. Gollum began at once to count them. One left, yes. One right, yes. Two right, yes, yes. Two left, yes, yes, and so on and on. As the count grew, he slowed down, and he began to get shaky and weepy, for he was leaving the water further and further behind, and he was getting afraid. Goblins might be about, and he had lost his ring. At last he stopped by a low opening on their left as they went up. 7 right, yes. 6 left, yes, he whispered. This is it. This is the way to the back door, yes. Here's the passage. He peered in and shrank back. But we dursn't go in, precious. No, we dursn't. He says dursn't? I wonder... I want to do an analysis on how Gollum speaks versus how Smeagol speaks and see if there's any noticeable differences. In their actual language. That'd be an interesting study. We dursn't. Doesn't sound like something Gollum would say. It's Dursent. It's not Dernst. Aw, your 3-year-old saying hi. I love that. Tell her we all say hi. If you're watching on your phone, Michael, then you're screwed. The link is in the video description, I think. Oh, let me check. Let me check real quick. I'm YouTubing myself. That's weird. Hopefully this doesn't play. Yeah, I have it muted. Okay. I'm muting myself as I'm watching myself. Oh, I don't have it on the yeah, I don't have it in the description. 1 second, hold on. Let me find one. Let me find a link. Oh no. Nope, not that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. All right, if you want any shirts or you just want to check out the shirts that I make here, here's a link. Boom. Shirts, sweatshirts, mugs. Yeah, this is Dursent, not Dernst. Anyway. Goblins down there. Lots of goblins. We smells them. What shall we do? Curse them and crush them. We must wait here, precious. Wait a bit and see. So they came to a dead stop. Gollum had brought Bilbo to the way out after all, but Bilbo could not get in. There was Gollum sitting humped up right in the opening, and his eyes gleamed cold at his head as he swayed it from side to side between his knees. Bilbo crept away from the wall more quietly than a mouse, but Gollum stiffened at once and sniffed, and his eyes went green. He hissed softly but menacingly. He could not see the Hobbit, but now he was on the alert, and he had other senses that the darkness had sharpened, hearing and smell. He seemed to be crouching right down with his flat hands splayed out on the floor, and his head thrust out, nose almost to the stone. Though he was only a black shadow in the gleam of his own eyes, Bilbo could see or feel that he was tense as a bowstring, gathered for a spring. Dang. Bilbo almost stopped breathing. That's such a good analogy. Okay, so I was talking about the one analogy before. I made a video about this one. About the analogy that he uses that kind of takes you out of the story, and I think how Tolkien does that purposefully. This is a great example of the exact opposite. Because the first one he uses a post office, and now in like the heat of the tension, Tolkien knows to not use something that's not really tense, like the bowstring. It's like the weapon. It makes him feel much more dangerous, like he's ready and he is going to lash out at you at any second. Man, that is a great thing to use right there. I love that. Tolkien, guys, I don't know if you know this, but man, Tolkien is a really good writer. This guy really knew how to write. The guy was a skilled writer. He was really good, guys. I know you guys probably don't know it, but he was really good. Bilbo almost stopped breathing and went stiff himself. He was desperate. He must get away out of this horrible darkness while he had any strength. He must fight. He must stab the foul thing, put its eyes out, kill it. It meant to kill him. No, not a fair fight. He was invisible now. Gollum had no sword. Gollum had not actually threatened to kill him, or tried to yet. And he was miserable, alone, lost. A sudden understanding. This is crazy. sudden understanding, a pity mixed with horror, welled up in Bilbo's heart. A pity mixed with horror. Pity. It was a pity that Bilbo didn't stab him when he had the chance. Pity. It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. A glimpse of endless unmarked days without light of hope or betterment. Hard stone, cold fish, sneaking and whispering. All of these thoughts passed in a flash of a second. He trembled. And quite suddenly, in another flash, as if he lifted by a new strength and resolve, he leaped. This is crazy. Okay, so I want to talk about something. Now I know where George R. R. Martin gets it. I'm reading A Game of Thrones for the first time, and George R. R. Martin's writing is not anywhere. It's good. It's like, to me, it's like better than Sanderson's writing. But it's not at the J.R. Tolkien level. George R. R. Martin is good thematically. His writing, I don't think, is as good as Tolkien's. I don't think that's anything new. I think everyone here would probably agree with that. There's one thing that George R. R. Martin does in his chapters, because he has so much prophecy and he has so much visions and he has so many like things going on. He does things that, like, he throws a prophecy in there. It's like very prophetic literature. He throws a prophecy in there, and then all of a sudden he creates, like, prophetic literature has this like near and this far thing. It's like something small is happening in that moment, but this prophecy means something grander in the universe and in the world. And this feels like that. Like, to me, it feels like Bilbo's having a crisis of like seeing what is going to happen if he kills Gollum right now. Sorry, let me write a note. Like, yes, this is like, he's looking at Gollum. Like, this is the near thing. He's looking at Gollum and seeing what Gollum's days look like. It's days without light, glimpse of endless days without light, or hopes of betterment, hard stone, cold fish, sneaking and whispering. He sees that, but I also think that he sees this because if he kills Gollum and Sauron gets the ring, this is what's in store for everyone. A glimpse of endless unmarked days without light or hope of betterment, hard stone, cold fish, sneaking and whispering. Dang. This is so good. Bilbo's pity is just like, this is the paragraph right here of Bilbo's pity. There's a lot I want to talk about in this one. No great leap for a man, but a leap in the dark. Straight over Gollum's head he jumped, 7 feet forward and 3 in the air. Indeed, had he known it, he only just missed cracking his skull on the low arch of the passage. Gollum threw himself backwards and grabbed as the hobbit flew over him, but too late. His hands snapped on thin air, and Bilbo, falling fair on his sturdy feet, sped off down the new tunnel. He did not turn to see what Gollum was doing. There was a hissing and cursing almost at his heels at first, then it stopped. All at once there came a blood-curdling shriek, filled with hatred and despair. Gollum was defeated. He dared go no further. He had lost his prey, and lost, too, the only thing he had ever cared for, his precious. The cry brought Bilbo's heart to his mouth, but still he held on. Now faint as an echo, but menacing, the voice came behind. Thief, 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 Baggins, we hates it, we hates it, we hates it forever. And there was a silence. But that, too, seemed menacing to Bilbo. If goblins are so near that he smelt them, he thought. Then they'll have heard his shrieking and cursing. Careful now, or this way will lead you to worse things. I don't know if worse things, maybe. Yeah, maybe worse things, but dang, this is crazy. You got a Bob Ross ad? That is so great. I'm so glad that they're doing Bob Ross ads on my channel. Man, that makes me happy. Yeah, it's Kenobi. Totally is that. What if The Hobbit is actually a sequel to Lord of the Rings? That's way too meta. The passage was low and roughly made. It was not too difficult for the Hobbit, except when, in spite of all care, he stubbed his poor toes again several times on nasty, jagged stones in the floor. A bit low for goblins, at least for the big ones, he thought. Or thought Bilbo, not knowing that even the big ones, the orcs of the mountain, go along at great speed, stooping low with their hands almost on the ground. Soon the passage that had been sloping down began to go up again, and after a while it climbed steeply. That slowed Bilbo down. But at last the slope stopped. The passage turned a corner and dipped down again, and there, at the bottom of the short incline, he saw, filtering round another corner, a glimpse of light. Not red light, as of fire or lantern, but a pale, out-of-door sort of light. Then Bilbo began to run. Scuttling as fast as his legs would carry him, he turned the last corner and came suddenly right into an open space, where the light, after all that time in the dark, seemed dazzlingly bright. Really, it was only a leak of sunshine through a doorway, where a great door, a stone door, was left standing open. Bilbo blinked, and then suddenly he saw the goblins. Goblins in full armor with drawn swords, sitting just inside the door and watching it with wide eyes, and watching the passage that led to it. They were aroused, alert, ready for anything. They saw him sooner than he saw them. Yes, they saw him. Whether it was an accident or a last trick of the ring before it took a new master, it was not on his finger. Whoa! With yells of delight, the goblins rushed upon him. A pang of fear and loss, like an echo of Gollum's misery, smote Bilbo, and forgetting even to draw his sword, he struck his hand soon into his pocket, and there was the ring still, in his left pocket, and it slipped on his finger. The goblins stopped short. They could not see a sign of him. He had vanished. They yelled twice as loud as before, but not so delightedly. "Where is it?" they cried. "Go back up the passage," some shouted. "This way," some yelled. "That way," others yelled. "Look out for the door," bellowed the captain. Whistles blew, armor clashed, swords rattled, goblins cursed and swore and ran hither and thither, falling over one another and getting very angry. There was a terrible outcry to do, and disturbance. Bilbo was dreadfully frightened, but he had the sense to understand what had happened, and to sneak behind a big barrel which held drink for the goblin guards, and so get out of the way and avoid being bumped into, trampled to death, or caught by feel. "I must get to the door, I must get to the door," he kept on saying to himself. But it was a long time before he ventured to try. Then it was like a horrible game of blind man's bluff. The place was full of goblins running about, and the poor little hobbit dodged this way and that, was knocked over by a goblin who could not make out what he had bumped into, scrambled again on all fours, slipped between the legs of a captain just in time, got up, and ran for the door. It was still ajar, but a goblin had pushed it nearly to. Bilbo struggled, but he could not move it. He tried to squeeze through the crack. He squeezed and squeezed, and he stuck. It was awful. His buttons had got wedged on the edge of the door and the door post. He could see outside into the open air. There were a few steps running down into a narrow valley between tall mountains. The sun came out from behind a cloud and shone bright on the outside of the door, but he could not get through. Suddenly, one of the goblins inside shouted, "There is a shadow by the door. Something's outside." Bilbo's heart jumped into his mouth. He gave a terrific squirm. Buttons burst off in all directions. He was through with a torn coat and waistcoat, leaping down the steps like a goat, while bewildered goblins were still picking up his nice brass buttons on the doorstep. Of course, they soon came down after him, hooting and howling and hunting among the trees. But they don't like the sun. It makes their legs wobble and their heads giddy. What the heck? They could not find Bilbo with the ring on, slipping in and out of the shadows of the trees, running quick and quiet, and keeping out of the sun. So soon they went back, grumbling and cursing to guard the door. Bilbo had escaped. Man, what a good chapter. Holy smokes. There's like, this has to be the most popular chapter in literature. I'm writing down some essay ideas. Most popular chapter. Yeah, this is probably the best chapter so far in the book. I'm curious if any are going to compare to this. Wow, it's actually crazy. We're like a third through the book. This book is going fast. We're going to be done with this in a few months. Yeah, and it's funny too because Tolkien is channeling his horror, but he's also channeling his childlike horror. Like he's not necessarily writing he's writing a terrifying chapter. But this is different. This is like a different level of terrifying for adults and kids. Like it is terrifying for kids, but there's also the element of humor. I guess for both kids and adults too. But I think there's just different levels of that. When the kids are afraid versus when the adults are afraid. There's like everything here is just a terrifying display in this chapter of writing. Yeah, the Fog of the Barrow Downs is another one of those creepy ones. Honestly, that might be the creepiest. I think I got to reread that chapter. It's not fresh in my memory, but I still remember maybe being a little more creeped out by the Shelob chapter, Shelob's Lair. That felt like the creepiest chapter to me. There's a few other ones. He's really good at horror. Honestly, Tolkien, I need to write maybe I'll write another essay on Tolkien's horror. He's a horror writer. Like Stephen King, stand aside. This guy knows how to write horror. Omercine, you have a riddle? Give me the riddle. Give me your best riddles. Yeah, the Shelob one is very, very creepy. Also, Roger, you didn't see you there. Didn't see you there. Journey in the Dark has a lot of horror elements too, where you actually don't see any of the creatures. That was like such a good one. I jousted and ruffled my feathers with zest. I quacked at giants no soul would contest. Scrumptiously crunchable, orange juiced fest. What clings to John's chest and will never find rest. That is the greatest riddle that I've ever heard. I want to make that the theme of the channel. Oh my gosh, I need to copy paste that real quick before I lose it. That is the legitimate greatest riddle that I've ever heard in my life. This is going to be the new one. That is so good. I love that. Wow. I feel honored to be part of that riddle. The quick duck. I jousted and ruffled my feathers with zest. I quacked at giants no soul would contest. A scrumptious, crunchable orange juice to fast. Because I love orange juice. What clings to John's chest and will never find rest. Ooh. Or what clings to John's chest and makes you never find rest, or something like that. Like I feel like the quick duck is more fearful. You're more afraid of the quick duck than the quick duck is. But it's almost like a Batman too. Like he never rests until his job is done. Yeah, local knowledge is required for that one. What are give me a list of some of the horror. Yeah, I was thinking of the Dead Marshes too. The Dead Marshes. What would you say is his most horrifying chapter? That one was up there for me. I think that would have been an interesting chapter to see him write that in the style of Lord of the Rings. How much more creepy it could have been. Maybe there was a good level of creepiness there. And I think actually part of the reason why this chapter I think is really creepy as well is because it is mixed with humor. Like sometimes those humor bits make the creepy bits even creepier, and they make the humor more humorous. Fog and the Barrow Downs is one of the creepiest. Probably Pyre of Denethor I felt like was less creepy and more just like dramatic. Man, that chapter was the most dramatic chapter that I've ever read in Tolkien. Yeah, does this Silmarillion have good horror in it? I feel like it would. Moria chapter is very scary. That the Moria chapter is to me was a bit more tense, which I guess is a huge element of horror. But the tension in that chapter was just pulpable like orange juice, aka palpable. Journey in the Dark is horrifying, totally. Journey in the Dark was a great chapter. Paths of the Dead. Honestly, Paths of the Dead is a great one. Shelob's mother. I don't know about Shelob's mother all that much. Silmarillion is full of horror. Uh-oh, yikes. The horrors of the Pirate Nether could happen to you. Honestly, that's a great point. Like, that is maybe the most applicable chapter, horror-wise. Not necessarily, like, externally. That's, like, internal horror. That's actually there's an essay in that. I'm not going to write it right now. I'll write it on my second turn. But there's an essay in that. That's a great concept. That's the most horrifying chapter because of the internal struggles that this could happen to anyone. I mean, like, Riddles in the Dark could happen to anyone, technically. You never know. There's probably some weird creatures in caves that live out there in the world. Not even our world. Ugh, I don't even want to think of that. Bridge of the Khazad-dûm was I love that chapter. They're all just such good chapters. I'm going to straighten out my shirt so you guys can see. A quick duck had saved him. I love the quick duck. I love our quick duck here. I should put like his the reverse angle of this on the back of the shirt. This is my favorite joke, guys. Why do ducks have tail feathers? Anybody know? Why do ducks have tail feathers? Why do ducks have tail feathers? Suppose meth head? Yeah, totally is a meth head. So they could shake them? No, come on. Come on, someone's got to know this. Why do ducks have tail feathers? Come on, guys. Because their beaks will look awkward? No. To keep their tails warm? Nope. To hide their butt quacks. That is the greatest joke of all time. You guys are going flight simulator. You guys are thinking of legitimate things that people need these for. To hide their butt quacks. Yeah, that's a good dad joke right there. Yeah, it was a little painful joke. Sorry, guys. Won't ever happen again. It's one of my favorites. That's an interesting chapter. I feel like there's some chapters, like, there's a lot to think about and a lot to talk about with that chapter. For just what thematically happens in Lord of the Rings. I can't wait to read the second version of that. Yeah, Brian he would have. Audrey, you got to ask him that in Discord to see if he'll know that from the get-go. More of an estranged uncle joke. You guys got some comedy to you. I know I need a dad joke on every stream now. Maybe we'll do a dad joke of the stream. All right. That'll be an ongoing thing we do. Yeah, Tolkien did a reading of the chapter, so I'll listen to that. But I'll probably do a read of his first version of that. I'll do a read of his first version sometime this week. Probably like a little nighttime read or something like that. So keep updated for that. I'll do that eventually. I'll do that soon. Your favorite joke is completely incomprehensible to Americans, which is a pity. No way. What is it? We need to hear that. Go listen to Tolkien read it now. Deal. I'll listen. I'll listen to it. I have a car ride in front of me, so I'll listen to it on the car ride. Tolkien reading that chapter. I'd be curious to see how he would read that. What did the slug say to the snail? Nice house. That's not good. That's not clever enough. Big issue, sir. Yeah, you're right. That goes right over my head. I don't know what that means. Goes right over my head. Tolkien's voice is close to Andy Serkis's. Interesting. Just found a site with the differences between the first revised. Yeah, I think I've seen that site too. Is that where the things are in blue? The big issue. Big issue, a UK #1 street paper and enterprise. Big issue. What did the slug say to the snail? I still don't get it. I'm slow with jokes. Tolkien's Gollum is Welsh. Ooh, a little Welsh Gollum. That's fun. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something about a mobile home. Lord of the Rings Symphony for Day Maze. Publishers give it to homeless people to sell to the public. Oh, no way. That's funny. That's actually hilarious. That's great. Quality joke. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know what big issue is. Publishers give it to homeless people to sell the. That's hilarious. That is a great joke. I love that. That was a great joke. Well done, Trig. Well done. Top tier joke. I love a joke you got to think a little bit for. All right, guys. Well, it seems we've come to the end of yet another chapter. Thanks for joining. If you want to get merch like what I'm wearing. Oh, no, I just copy-pasted that because I had to copy-paste that into a blank doc because I just want to remember that rather than this link. Here. If you want merch, if you want some shirts, I'm going to make some more stuff probably when I eventually get it. But you can use that link and buy a shirt or something like that. Attila, I gotta message you or message me in Discord, and I'm gonna send you a link if you wanna for a free shirt for being a golden tamale. I'll do that if you become a golden tamale. We'll connect and I'll give you a shirt. That'll be your reward for being a golden tamale. A crock joke was worse than your tra-la-lee problem joke. Well, you gotta tell me that joke, but tell it to me next time. All right, guys, I'm gonna jump off. It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys as I read. We'll do a reading of the first version sometime this week. I don't know when, but I'll keep you guys updated about that. I'll keep you all in the loop. And remember, look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is. I never say these in live streams. I shouldn't say this right now. And to that which is beyond Elvenhome and will ever be. I'll see you in the next one. I forgot to do the intro thing for one of the intros. I gotta do this. All right, guys. See you guys later.